le di mayara tseo ba mo potapotileng, the two professors. Good evening, honorable MECs, my colleagues, honorable speaker, honorable chief whip. Dumelang bagaetsho ke dumedisa gape ke bone honorable premier na le di CEOs amongst us. Ha ke tlo go ba bitsa ka maina, re na le di HOD, ba eteletswe pele ke Director General of the province. Ke tse gape nako e ke dumedise baagi ba Bokone Bophirima ke re bagaetsho dumelang. Leina la ka ke Tsotso Tlhapi, ke mokhuduthamaga wa arts and culture in the province. Ke tsamaya le ntate o montle o motho kwa ka la mmono na le matlho a mane. Ntate Clement Manoko la strike gore ga montle. Ha? Ha? Ke ntate Clement Manoko ke rona re tlo tsamaisang tiro e mo letsatsing la kajeko. I know gore montle mare a re tlogeleng. Tla ke tsena ko e gape ke la amogele bagaetsho ga le kile la tsa memo la tla go tlo utlwa ka botshelo ba Aziz Pahad. Bao ba lekana le nna, I know honorable Premier and Prof, they do not know him, but because history has no blank, re kgona go bua ka ene mo letsatsing la kajeko. Re kgona go mo itse ga ile gore le batho ba ileng gore le rata go buisa, le rata go bala. My person. Thank you very much. Ha ke batlo ba bolele ko ena mang. Motho re tlileng kwano ka ene ka jeko ke ntate Comrade Aziz Pahad o tsetsweng mo provinceng ya rona ya Bokone Bophirima ko Swaziland. Eo e neng e bitswa former Transvaal before most of us here were born. Ke molwela kgololosego motho re tlileng kwano ka jeko ntate Manoko. We are free because of him today, and that's why we are here today. He fought for us. Most of us, we are benefiting from what he has done for the country and for this province. So, ntle le go senya nako, ke tlo go kopa moruti, ga ba mpha leina la moruti, a kgone go re bulela ka thapelo. Ha ke bitse wena ntate Smarts, ke bitsa moruti o leng teng wena, you are not a priest. Ke kopa moruti a tlo go re bulela fela ka thapelo so that we invite God. Let's invite God, yes. Here, next to me, so that moa o modimo tlo tlo re aparele rotlhe.
Baeteledipele ba rona botlhe ba ba ileng ba re etelela pele mo kgololesegong le mo kgaratlhong mo tšhotlhegong mo ketekong le mo tšhotlakakong ya gore be re le fa re leng teng re lopa maitsiboa a letsatsi la gompieno ka tlhoafalo masego a o ileng a wa ba bontsha one re santse re le fa go ikgopotsa botshelo jwa yo mongwe wa molwela kgololesego yo e bileng modimo wa ka ya nna moeteledipele ya nna rre wa lelapa ya nna motsadi ya nna karolo ya lelapa mo provinceng e re tlile ga go tlotla botshelo jo re thuse gore morago ga go reetsa tse re di utlwang ka ene re lwele gore le ka matshelo a rona ka moswe re tlotlwe re ne re tlotlega re a rapela re laolela lenaneo le lotlhe mo thusong ya gago morena le morekolodi wa rona amen.
Amen. Amen. Eliskar se ka mafoko ba gaetsho ra leboga gore bo memile o kwa magodimong tla ke tseya no nako e ke kope Mayor Ramphetlo ka gore le change program ka wena le ntate Khumalo. Ntate Khumalo ke go biletse ka mo pele o tlo go re amogela wa amogele o re amogele mo sedikeng sa gago ke a go naya metsotso e le meraro gore amogela majoro wa ka. Ha o bona ke go kgopa o itse gore e chaile nako ya gago. Ke nna ke ranang program.
No, thank you very much, Program Director. You didn't say that to the pastor. It's not a dispute. Fellow South Africans, my dear brothers and sisters, here and at home, the Vice Chancellor of our acclaimed university, the family of our founding father and beacon of hope, Comrade Aziz Pahad, the leadership of the university, the executive mayor of Ngaka Mulema, the Premier of the Northwest, Premier Mokgosi, and your executive that is here, the Speaker of the Northwest Provincial Legislature, the Chief Whip of the Northwest Provincial Legislature, and all members of the Provincial Legislature. We know where we come from. We are certain about where we are going. We are sent here by various political parties, and let us take this opportunity to welcome them in no order of priority. We are sent in government, we are not confused, we have clarity. We are sent in government today in the Northwest by the African National Congress, and we therefore also take this opportunity to welcome the leadership and membership of the African National Congress and all other political parties in diversity in our province. This is the province of Moses Kotane. This is the province of Gertrude Mpekwa. This is the province of Dentlome. This is the province of Unkgopotsetiro. This is the province of J.B. Max. This is the province of Kgosi Ramotsere Muilwa. This is the province of Ngaka Mulema, the province of Dick Muntsiwa. I can go on and on. This is the province of Dumandleleni. We welcome you to the Northwest. We welcome you to Bokonibu Perima. We have made a serious contribution in the liberation of our people, and we continue to do so relentlessly. For we are standing on the broadest of shoulders of beacons and epitomes of leadership and freedom like Comrade Aziz Pahad and those who are in his class. And we thank them for the liberation, for we know that yesteryear we could not meet like this. We were told that if he is alone, ujua kibudutu. If they are two, you must suspect. If they are three, you must shoot. We come from there. How can we forget? And in conclusion, Frederick Engels goes to a funeral of his friend, Karl Marx. And this is what he says. And he says, in the end, humankind must eat, drink, and have shelter before it pursues politics, religion, culture, sports, close quote. I repeat, in the end, humankind must eat, drink, and have shelter before it pursues politics, arts, religions, and sport, close quote. And I am depositing this quote deliberately to remind ourselves that this freedom did not come for free, and that in whatever we say or do, we must remember that in the end, our people must eat, drink, and have shelter. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, and our fellow communities here and at home, welcome to the Northwest Province. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. Our country is a strong proponent of multilateralism and strongly believes the challenges facing the world can only be dealt with if we tackle these collectively. We believe that the United Nations provides a key component of the edifice of the multilateral system which provides the only framework for the resolution of the problems facing the world today. These are the words of Dr. Aziz Hussein Pahad, addressing the civic reception in Tshwane. It is my honor to now call upon the Vice Chancellor, Principal of the Northwest University, Prof. Mzubanzi Bismarck Twebeka, to address us.
Thank you very much, Program Director, our Honorable Premier, Mokgosi, members of the Executive Council of the Northwest Province, Professor Anjina Parekh, the wife of our late hero and stalwart Dr. Pahad, members of the university management that are here today, members of the diplomatic corps that are with us, government officials, students, academic staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is an honor for the Northwest University to host this historic occasion, that of reflecting on the life and the legacy of Dr. Aziz Pahad. We see this occasion as an opportunity for us to pay tribute to his contributions to liberation and social justice, but also a platform for academic discourse. For community members, including our staff and students, particularly the younger generation, this occasion presents an opportunity to learn from Dr. Pahad's commitment to diplomacy and social justice, inspiring them to engage with global challenges and contribute meaningfully to the future of our country, the continent, and the world. We all know that Dr. Pahad's journey started from his roots in Swaziland, in the district of Dr. Ruth Sekgomuthi Mompati in the Northwest Province, and he surged to the global stage. His journey serves as one of the greatest success stories that demonstrate the power of humble beginnings, perseverance, principled and servant leadership. His commitment to the struggle against apartheid, his ability to mobilize international support, and his role in shaping our country's foreign policy is a further demonstration of the power of strategic engagement and unwavering conviction. Esteemed guests, colleagues, the world today needs principled leaders such as Dr. Pahad. This occasion has come at an opportune time, a time for us to remind ourselves about the importance of relationships and interdependencies among nations. Countries need each other to succeed unless they use force to achieve their objectives. Addressing the audience at the South African Institute of International Affairs about the role of South Africa in the United Nations Security Council in 2007, Dr. Pahad remarked as follows: some characteristics of the international environment today are the weakening of multilateralism, no common vision of global security, disregard of the United Nations Charter and international law, unilateral rejection of international protocols, unparalleled anti-Americanism, and the consequent rise of terrorism and a militaristic approach to fight terrorism. Close quote. He saw democratic South Africa as a crucial and a critical role player towards finding solutions in that very unpredictable and challenging environment. His remarks remain true today as they were 18 years ago. As a visionary leader, Dr. Pahad knew and believed that diplomacy is the only way of maintaining peaceful relationships while promoting political, economic, cultural, and scientific relations among nations to prevent conflict and wars and promote international peace and human solidarity. The diplomatic task is, of course, not an easy one due to the environment under which it is conducted. As Kofi Annan, the seventh Secretary General of the United Nations, once pointed out, quote, "Ignorance and prejudice are the handmaidens of propaganda. Our mission, therefore, is to confront ignorance with knowledge, bigotry with tolerance, and isolation with the outstretched hand of generosity," close quote. Esteemed guests, Comrade Aziz's early exposure to political activism, shaped by his family's involvement in the Transvaal Indian Congress, laid the foundation for his lifelong struggle against apartheid. Hence, I referred to the power of humble beginnings. Many of our leaders present today can relate to the journey of humble beginnings, and this should serve as an inspiration to our young people. Dr. Pahad's tireless efforts helped galvanize global opinion against the oppressive regime, increasing diplomatic and economic pressure that significantly contributed to South Africa's eventual liberation, as the mayor has just so eloquently alluded to. During his time as Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, he played a crucial role in mediating complex international crises, advocating for peaceful conflict resolution, and championing the rights of the oppressed people worldwide. He was well respected among the diplomatic circles for creatively resolving impasses. His diplomatic acumen not only elevated South Africa's global standing, but reinforced the nation's commitment to multilateralism and human rights. This cause, in my view, remains relevant to the challenges of today, and it is important for all of us to continue passing the baton in this relay. As we grapple and navigate this world that is increasingly shaped by complex geopolitical and socio-economic challenges, the core issues that Comrade Aziz relentlessly promoted are more crucial than ever. These include the importance of diplomacy, dialogue, and multilateralism. We have a lot to learn from his approach. Through his contributions in the work of organizations such as the SADC, the AU, the Non-Aligned Movement, and the UN, he demonstrated his love and appreciation for peaceful resolution to complex national and international problems. As we honor him, let us take a position to actively shape a more just and equitable society. His life reminds us that diplomacy is not just the work of governments, but of all who believe in progress through dialogue and collaboration. Let us recommit to fostering peace, advancing diplomacy, and upholding the dignity of all people. Again, I would like to welcome you to the Northwest University. I know that we have our very bright students from international relations and politics, and I'm sure they would like to be the giants that emulate, to be the future giants that emulates giants such as Dr. Pahad. Therefore, we are grateful that today's launch is taking place here and will inspire our students to know their country and its evolutions in terms of international solidarity, cooperation, conflict resolution, and multilateralism. We need more diplomats and ambassadors in this continuously ever-changing and complex global politics. Distinguished guests, the work of the Democratic South Africa ambassadors and diplomats, was ushered and solidified when President Mbeki proclaimed the United Nations Security Council meeting of 25 May 1994. He said, "We firmly commit our country as a member of the United Nations and as a responsible citizen of the world to live up to its obligations in this regard and consequently to contribute what it can to the making of the peaceful world is the right, which is the right of all the people. Our government and people are determined to ensure that within our borders, we banish from our national life all those things that make for war and violent conflict. The successful transition to a democratic order constitutes the firm foundation for peace which our people have yearned for generations. It constitutes also the basis from which we will move in the search for a negotiated, just and stable regional security system for all the peoples of Southern Africa, which would guarantee the sovereignty of all the countries of our region and ensure that never again should any country fall victim to aggression and destabilization," close quote. The insurgent, Dr. Aziz Pahad, the insurgent diplomat, took this and other related messages and commitments to heart, and the rest, as they say, is history. To our students and young leaders amongst us here this evening, I leave you with some advice by Ban Ki-moon, who was the eighth Secretary General of the United Nations. You are already leaders. Your ideas, your actions, and your decisions make a difference. More than any other generation, you have a voice. Social networking is changing how we interact, and it can change our world. You are in touch with peers from around the world. You understand the power of instant communication. I appeal to you to use that power for the common good, the power of communication and the power of networking, close quote. May this event serve as a catalyst for renewed engagements with the value of Dr. Aziz Pahad that he so passionately championed. Thank you, Ria Leboga.
Thank you very much, Prof. And I think those who are listening to you, they now know and understand who Comrade Aziz Pahad is. And I think your student has heard you, and I think we will have more Comrade Aziz Pahad amongst us, especially in the Northwest Province, since we are the province of the heroes. Now, without waste of time, I will now request the Honorable Premier to come and address us. And maybe, Honorable Premier, because I can see there are comrades here, and I think Comrade Aziz Pahad will have agree with me by saying they must actually sing for you. Haritzenamo, they were singing, but I want to hear them singing for Comrade Aziz Mokgosi, the Premier of the Northwest Province. Aziz.
Mbambe. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Program Director, members of the Executive Council present here today, the Speaker of the Provincial Legislature, the Chief Whip of the majority party in the legislature, the Executive Mayor of Ngaka Mudirimolema District Municipality, the Executive Mayor of Mahikeng Local Municipality, the leadership of the ANC and its leagues and the Progressive Youth Alliance, the leadership of the South African Communist Party, COSATU and SANCO, the Northwest University under the stewardship of the Vice Chancellor, Bismarck Jobeka, leaders of faith-based organizations present here today, the Northwest House of Traditional Leaders and faith-based organizations, media representatives, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Let me welcome everybody present here in the beautiful province in a city called Mahikeng. Professor Jobeka was saying he's still going to insist to call it Mafike. It's Mahikeng. A city of Barolo people who for many years stood steadfast in the struggle for liberation and has produced thought leaders like Sol Plaatje, George Dick Munsiwa, Ngaka Mudirimolema, and many others. A city which changed the course of history during the siege of Mahikeng and whose traditional leaders, such as Lekoko and Motshegare, opposed the 1902 Treaty of Vereeniging following the Anglo-Boer War, or also known as the South African War. A city of people who pushed back against the invasion of the AWB and advocated to be part and parcel of the country's democratic project on the eve of the first democratic elections. You are also in the province of leaders like Moses Kotana, J.B. Marx, Sukhumutsi Mompati, Rita Alice Ntanga More, and youth leaders like Onkgopotse Tiro, Benjamin Oliphant, and Boiki Tlhapi, whose lives were cut short by the apartheid government to silence the voice of the youth. We thank you for agreeing to come and be part of this prestigious occasion, to come and celebrate with us as we launch officially here, and want to listen attentively to the contribution to one of our struggle icons, Mr. Aziz Pahad, who was born in Swaziland on the 25th of December, 1940. You know, this launch today takes place after the foreign ministers, just a week after the foreign ministers meeting hosted by the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation under the South Africa's G20 presidency, with the theme of solidarity, equality, and sustainability. Therefore, in this current global political development, the importance of G20 summit hosted on the African soil cannot be overemphasized. The G20 summit of heads of state and government bring together leaders from the world's largest economies to address pressing global challenges and foster economic cooperation. We all know that it was through the efforts of former State President Mbeki that under the African Union and NEPAD, our country became instrumental in peacekeeping initiatives in many parts of the continent. This, of course, will include the DRC, where you where we brought various parties together to agree to the 2002 Sun City Peace Agreement, with Aziz Pahad playing an instrumental role during those negotiations when he was a Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. It is therefore an honor for our province to host this strategic session and a launch, given the contribution made by Aziz during his tenure as part of the South African Foreign Affairs developmental trajectory. But also we must not forget that the year 2025 marks the centenary of Ruth Sekgomotsi Mompati, and we hope that in foreseeable future will come here again and reflect also on the life and the contribution of the struggle hero of our people. We'll also look at, on her biography titled, Mme Ruth Mompati, A Life of Courage and Service, which was written by Wally Sorot. And we remember, in that book, Ntate Thabo Mbeki has written a very impeccable foreword in memory of this colossal giant. I'm not intending to make a long speech. We must celebrate and enjoy the moment as we reflect the contribution of Comrade Aziz Pahad. I'm not sure how many of you in this room have read the book titled, The Insurgent Diplomat, Astute Diplomat. If you have not read the book, take time to read it. And probably if you listen here and you read, you'll understand who was Aziz Pahad. I'm going to say in conclusion that as provincial government of the Northwest Province, we have taken a conscious decision that as the 7th administration, starting from this year, as we launch here today, we will have build-ups towards the state of the province on an annual basis, having different activities. And these activities will include a variety of activities that will be memorial lectures, community projects, engagements with the faith-based organization, traditional leadership, all stratas of our society. And this is done under our memorandum of understanding that we have signed with the university. And that memorandum of understanding is the one which is a framework in which we will be in a position as a provincial government to interact with our people on an annual basis. Now, this year we took a decision that we are going to start with Aziz, because we believe that being the G20 chairperson as a country, and this province hosting about around 6 ministers meeting, we believe that those streams or working groups will also put this province in the map. But we also agree that we must celebrate our leaders. And these leaders, we must acknowledge the role that they played in our struggle. But we are starting with Aziz because he was a diplomat. And we see it befitting that as we are now chairperson of G20, it's also correct to locate his role internationally as an activist, as a diplomat, and also as just an ordinary citizen of the country. Now, we had invited the former state president, Thabo Mbeki, to be part of this prestigious occasion. Primarily because he lived with Aziz for a very long time, when they were abroad and when they were back in the country. He also worked with him in government. He also worked with him in the ANC. And we believe that he was the right person for today as we launch this initiative, and we start with Aziz and also locate it within a proper context of us being the chair of the G20. But unfortunately, the former state president has not been able to be with us this afternoon. We had a meeting with him yesterday in Johannesburg, and we had a very exciting discussion for about 2 hours, discussing government generally, nationally and provincially, and even our local spheres of government. I gave him a general picture of the performance of our government in the Northwest and the challenges our people face as a province. And you know, he gave a lot of advices. I was accompanied by MEC Musenohi because we wanted him to give us advice on how can we confront the current challenges facing our people. We did not anticipate, because due to unforeseen circumstances this afternoon, he could not make it to this occasion. But his message is that this is not canceled. It's just a postponement for him to come and talk to you. He says when he comes, he'll come here for 2 days. He will come here for 2 days, and we must draw a program that will touch a number of activities in the province, but in particular in Mahikeng and its significance. So this is just a postponement of the presence of the former state president, but we are continuing to launch it today, and we are using Aziz as an example of what we believe is the right contribution. With those few words, I want to say today, we are launching this. It's going to be an annual program, but diversified in terms of different stratas of our society. I thank you, Program Director.
Okay, thank you very much, Premier. So the Premier did indicate the program that will follow following today. There will be some engagement with the media. The Premier will be there to unpack some of the programs that will follow as part of the SOPA, and also preparations that will be happening with the anticipated visit and activities led by the former president. Premier will engage the media, so please, you can talk to the media people here. They will show you where the briefing will be at a later stage. We, of course, apologize for that, and to ensure that obviously there is that trust deficit issue dealt with. You can see Prof. Pahad is here. She is very prepared to be here, and she wants to say to you what she has to say to you. And I'm going to call on Prof. Pahad to address us. Sometimes we know the activists based on the meetings we have, the speeches we read, the books, but there are other underlying issues that are very important in their lives that people who live with them on a daily can share with us. And as we remember, we celebrate the life of Comrade Pahad, Aziz, we really would like to hear more from Prof. Pahad. The stage is yours.
Program Director, thank you very much for that introduction. I think the Program Director sometimes gets confused whether it's Professor Pahad or Professor Parekh. So let me make it very clear. I am Professor Parekh. I am an academic, former academic, retired now, and Mrs. Pahad. So when I speak at a university, I put on my Professor Parekh hat, and when I speak on international relations, I'm Mrs. Pahad. Program Directors, Premier of the Northwest Province, Honorable Kagiso Lazarus Mokgosi, Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of the Northwest Province, Professor Bismarck Tebeka, members of the legislature, members of the executive committee of the province, mayors present this evening, and many of the diplomats present here this evening as well, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. And as they say in international in the diplomatic world, all protocol observed. That's one way of making sure if you left anyone out, you are covered. That's what my husband always taught me. On behalf of the Pahad family, I would really like to thank Premier Mokgosi and the province of Northwest sincerely for the recognition bestowed upon my late husband, Aziz Pahad. This evening's memorial lecture in honor of his life and legacy is particularly significant given that, as the Premier has also mentioned, that Aziz was born in this province in the small town of Schwarzenegger. And I always used to tease him, your mother could have chosen a better day for you to be born. He was born on Christmas Day. So Christmas Day meant that whenever it was his birthday, it was very difficult to have lots of people that Aziz would always want around on his birthday because it was Christmas Day and people spent it with their families. So I said, so we would have lots of birthdays on Christmas and beyond. But I also want to acknowledge in celebrating this particular evening's occasion, I also want to acknowledge and to thank the Premier for the forward vision that the province has demonstrated in celebrating the life of all our struggle stalwarts across the spectrum who've created and given the freedom that we enjoy so much today and to some extent take a lot for granted. But a lot of these people have given their lives for it and years of commitment. And I'm really glad that the province is going to take the opportunity, and I hope other provinces emulate this province as well, in celebrating and telling the stories about our struggle stalwarts. I also would like to say that, that if Aziz was here this evening, and I've been reflecting on what he would have said, and he would have said in jest, these donkeys have got nothing better to do with their evening. That was Aziz's way of saying, guys, surely you don't want to spend a whole evening talking about me, you've got better things to do with your time. So the point is that Aziz really never sought the limelight. But when it shone on him, he blushed with adolescent delight. He would be deeply humbled by the recognition. But he always, always recognized the movement and the collective above individual accolade. It was never about him, the individual. It was always first and foremost the movement and the contribution of the collective that he put first and foremost in any celebratory evening. But nonetheless, Aziz being Aziz, he would have reveled in this evening's dialogues, the conversations that take place, and he would have been taking copious notes, because that's what he was. He would listen, he would take lots of notes, and he would also have looked forward to the after-event cocktails. That was Aziz. He participated, he listened, but he was the first to be happy and merry when the cocktails began, because he would have the glass of wine in hand, but he would also revel in the conversations about the world and at large with the students, with the comrades around. And the evening would last well into the night. And often it would be me tugging at his coat sleeve saying, there are some of us that do need to work the next morning. But Aziz was a consummate diplomat. I mean, he loved people, he loved engaging, he loved talking, he loved listening. And, you know, he was in that regard an incredibly amazing individual. Program directors, it's been a year, or over a year, since Aziz passed away on the 27th of September, 2023. And much has happened in our world since, and the world as we know it has become even more fragile, troubled, and disruptive. If Aziz were with us this evening, he would have told us that the signs were all there, that we should have anticipated the events of late, and being prepared. Aziz was no soothsayer, but he was an astute politician and diplomat par excellence, who understood all too well that events do not take place in a vacuum, but are incubated, molded, and given shape and effect by policies and decisions taken in the annals of time by groups and nations that have anointed themselves as the custodians of the international system. He understood that the international relations environment has become more complex, fragmented, and divisive, and that today, Africa and the world is facing one of its greatest political, economic, social, cultural, and existential crises. Aziz warned us about the growing threats to regional and international peace and security. He warned us about the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, the growth of populist political and economic nationalism and anti-democratic tendencies. He also warned us about the disregard of the international law with impunity, the fundamental weakening of multilateral institutions such as the United Nations, and the growing influence of the military-industrial complex. Aziz cautioned us about the events on January the 6th, 2021, when thousands of neo-fascists stormed Capitol Hill and entered the US citadel of power and symbol of democracy, and left the United States and the rest of the world stunned and in search of answers. He believed we will experience many such incidents globally, including in the US and in other developed and developing countries. Aziz warned us about NATO's expansion and the war between Russia, and that the war between Russia and Ukraine would be inevitable. He remained steadfast in his assertion that Israel will never commit to a negotiated two-stage solution, and that it will continue to act with impunity with the backing of the US, some other Western countries, and some Arab countries. He realized the importance of better understanding the economic power, the economic, political, and military rise of Russia and China. He understood the power of perception management and the power of fake news to deliberately undermine the truth. If he were with us this evening, he would have given a nod to current talks on striking a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, but he would have cautioned us never to be complacent about US motives. He would not have been surprised at Trump's stated intent of forced displacement and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in Gaza, as he long understood the exaggerated narrative of terrorist threats is the continuing rationale for Pax Americana. Program directors, you probably are wondering, how is it that I know what Aziz would have said this evening? And you would be correct to pose that question to me. And after all, I'm hardly a mind reader, even though by profession, I'm a clinical psychologist. My other glib response would be, after all, I am his wife, and after all, us wives know everything. I'd like to take credit for that, but the more accurate response is that everything that I've just talked about and said, what Aziz would have said or shared with us this evening, are extracts from Aziz's own writings and speeches, and many of these are in the public domain. The point I want to highlight, and I think that it's a point that Aziz would also have highlighted, is that we knew this was coming. We knew that the world was going to be upended. What could we have, had we known, could we have done things differently? And could we have been better prepared to deal with these global crises and challenges? Do we as a country, do we as a continent, have in place the strategies and the tactics necessary to ensure greater self-reliance towards a path of inclusivity and prosperity for all our people? Clearly, what Trump has done in just a couple of weeks is he suddenly has the world scrambling. Everyone is trying to begin to understand the implications for its own nation state, but it's for its own continent as well. And we should not be complacent either as a country, as a continent. I'm not saying we are, but we certainly do need to take stock. I just heard before coming to this evening's events on the news that the United Kingdom, it was just a matter of time, but the United Kingdom has agreed and taken a policy decision to increase its spending on defense at the expense of cutting its budget on international aid. US has done it, UK is now doing it, other countries are going to follow suit. It's a wake-up call to all of us to begin to start saying, how do we become more self-reliant as a country and a continent? And we must bear in mind, we are not a poor continent. We are a continent rich in resources. We are a continent rich in both mineral and people and talent resources. And we now need to draw on that resources to benefit our people, our continent, and people of other developing nations. That's what Aziz would have said. As you can see, in all of this, Aziz was also a good teacher. I learned well. Program Director, having alluded to the insights that Aziz would have shared with us this evening, I think it's only fitting that you hear the concluding remarks from Aziz himself. And therefore, please bear with me as I quote from a penultimate speech delivered by Aziz on the 30th of April, 2021, not too long ago. This speech he delivered on acceptance of an honorary doctorate from the University of Pretoria. This speech and the extract I'm about to read is hauntingly relevant today, perhaps even more so as we find ourselves bedeviled by a world order in absolute disarray and turmoil. And I quote, "Now more than ever, the world is in need of true leadership to inspire a united and decisive global response to the threats and challenges that face us all. Throughout history, there are examples of moments of unprecedented crisis that presents threats to the very future of humanity. And humanity responded as a united and decisive force to defeat such threats. I truly believe that we live in such a time. That said, we would do well to remember at times like these that the human family remains bound together as never before as communities of faith, brought together by our mutual vulnerabilities and an abiding sense of solidarity, compassion, and interdependence. These have been the essential values that have guided South Africa's foreign policy since 1994, profoundly informed by a global landscape of grave asymmetry and deep inequality. I am confident that given the challenges humanity faces today, today's political leadership, graduates, researchers, academics, and future graduates will join thousands of other counterparts in Africa and the world to rebuild trust and defeat all tendencies to slip into arrogant unilateralism. Together, we can build a united, peaceful, and prosperous Africa and a better world. End quote. That is what Aziz said in 2021. All of what he said then is still relevant even up to today. Program directors, Aziz was a tireless crusader for international peace and security and dedicated his life to the promotion of peace, security, justice, and international solidarity. His ideas and actions have consistently been dedicated to the core values and principles of building a better South Africa, a better Africa, and a better world. He would never surrender to tyranny, dictatorship, and oppression. He fought fiercely against apartheid and would have remained defiant against any nation and people that seeks to dominate another. But he was a pragmatist, and he was a diplomat. And he also recognized that in times of crisis, there's an opportunity for self-reflection and renewal of purpose. Self-reflection and renewal of purpose. The world we live in today demands that we remain resilient in our aspirations, agile in our responses, but always bound by a common purpose of a better life for all our people. Our best tribute to Aziz is to emulate in our lives and actions the central commitments and values by which he lived. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Parekh. I think I'm not on the wrong side of Professor now, because I'm not saying Professor Pahad. So thank you very much for that information, because bomme ba itse gore ke rona re tshwereng ko malapeng. So bontate ba ka nne ba gwanta premier ba apara disutu, but we will always come out and be the bosses of the day. And hence, Malibongwe. Thank you very much, Prof. I would like to acknowledge in our midst the Minister of International Relations from Botswana, Dr. Penyo Butale. Dr. Otswakafo Botswana Kafa, he is one of us. And I think Comrade Aziz, if he was here, he was going to be happy that you are here, Minister, because this is something that Comrade Aziz loved so much, so dearly, to have bilaterals with other countries that is Sibakwana. And hence, even today, we are going to persuade what Comrade Aziz Pahad has already started. And that's why we have invited Dr. Penyo Butale amongst us from Botswana. And I don't want to waste time, Doctor, I don't want to waste time, but to give you a chance to speak to us, the people of this province, re tle re utlwe gore lona ko Botswana le dirang. Ke ne ke batla go bua ka puo ya ko Botswana ya nong ke tshabile. Ka itse re ko teng ga go a thaka-thakana go siame fela. Mongame ke batla go fa tšhono ye mongame o kgone go bua le rona so that we can also visit Botswana one day, Honorable Premier, to pursue what Comrade Aziz Pahad has already started. Doctor, ke nako ya gago ke kopa le mo fe matsogo le mo amogeleng sentle.
Ke a leboga motsamaisi tiro. Ga ke itse gore mo Mahikeng ha nka bua ka Setswana go tabo go siame. Ka gore Setswana sa rona gongwe se ntsi se ko teng. Re bua bona bo go thaka-thakana. Ha diemo di ntse jalo re di bua jalo. Ra thamalala. Yaanong gongwe mme le gale kana ka Setswana ra re moeng ga di bedi. Yaanong ha moeng a se di bedi go ra ke bue le nkute sentle ka Sekgowa le ska sala le toloka se ke sa se buang. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, honored colleagues and friends, it is both a privilege and a deeply humbling experience to be standing before you today as we gather to commemorate the life of a truly remarkable individual, Comrade Dr. Aziz Pahad. I bring you greetings from the people of Botswana. I bring you greetings from the President of our Republic. He has told us and told everyone that he should not be called His Excellency. He is our boy. So I bring greetings, warm greetings from him. And he told me this morning as I was leaving that I should state very clearly that in his own life and his own journey of liberating our people in Botswana, he was and continues to be inspired by the likes of Dr. Aziz Pahad. We had a monumental, historic election in October 2024, an election that brought to an end 58 years of one party dominating. And when I go everywhere, people ask me, how did you do it? I also don't know. You can ask the people of Botswana, they did it. And I believe that it is important, it's a historic lesson that we equate it to your own 1994 here, when the people rose and made a statement. And I think we want to say that we learned from you, you can learn from us, and the transition that was seamless, that was peaceful, from one president to the other, from one party to the other. We believe this is a story. We believe this is a story that we carry into Africa, that indeed democracy does exist on the African continent, and that even other countries in the other parts of the world can learn from us. A party that ruled for 58 years, they were humble enough to say, the people voted us out, we are ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to say that Dr. Aziz Pahad's passing left an indelible mark, not only on the people of South Africa, but on the entire African continent and the world at large. As a student of literature, a student of African studies myself, I know that Dr. Pahad's life was one of unwavering commitment to justice, peace, and the advancement of a fairer global order. As we reflect on his contributions, we are reminded of the immense challenges he faced and the extraordinary impact he had in navigating these challenges, both within South Africa and on the global stage. He was indeed an unassuming, strategic, intelligent diplomat. Dr. Pahad's political journey was deeply intertwined with the struggle against apartheid. He was part of a generation of leaders who dared to dream of a future where the principles of equality and justice were not merely ideals, but reality. His role as a member of the African National Congress and his work during the liberation struggle were foundational to South Africa's transition to democracy. As Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Pahad was crucial in shaping the post-apartheid foreign policy of South Africa. His legacy is marked by his belief in the importance of regional and continental unity. The MC was saying we are following on his footsteps. That's why we are here today. He understood that for South Africa to thrive, Africa must thrive. And for Africa to thrive, we must strengthen our collective diplomatic efforts. That's why we are here today. It was a very difficult journey. You know, borders this side, that side are closed. You move this side, there's another challenge, but we were determined to be here, and we are here because we are here for a cause. His active involvement in multilateral institutions, such as the African Union and the Southern African Development Community, SADC, showcased his commitment to building bridges and fostering collaboration across the continent. His diplomatic endeavors in these spaces set a model for what it means to work in unity for the common good of all African nations. As a result of the foundation that Pahad and his peers set, we just came from the African Union Summit, and at that summit, we were electing into office commissioners, African Union commissioners. And as a region, we agreed to support and back each other. And as a result, Commissioner Matabuche of South Africa was elected successfully into office. Ne ke le eme nokeng go raya gore le bona gore le ira yang. One of Dr. Aziz Pahad's most significant contributions to both South Africa and the broader African continent was his skillful use of negotiation as a tool for peace, cooperation, and conflict resolution. Learning from him, when we got into office, we spelled out, we communicated that our overarching guiding light as the new government of Botswana will be human rights. And our foreign policy will be anchored on human rights, which means that we are adopting a human rights-centric approach to development and even to foreign policy. And we will need like-minded people like yourselves as we navigate the difficult contours and situations of the world and the conflicts. We know that we have a serious problem in Eastern DRC, very difficult situation, complex conflict, but we can only manage to unravel if we, as Botswana, agree that the surest way to resolving conflict is through dialogue, dialogue, and more dialogue, and not the barrel of the gun. Dr. Pahad's ability to navigate complex diplomatic waters, building consensus and finding common ground among diverse stakeholders is a testament to his vision of diplomacy as a means of fostering mutual understanding and long-lasting peace. This approach to negotiation aligns with Botswana's own diplomatic philosophy, where we believe in dialogue as a cornerstone of resolving disputes and advancing our national and regional interest. By prioritizing negotiation, Dr. Pahad not only advanced South Africa's foreign policy, but also set an example for all of us in Africa on the power of patience, respect, and dialogue in overcoming challenges and fostering unity. His legacy in negotiation will continue to guide future generations of diplomats as we collectively strive for a more peaceful and prosperous world. This region of Southern Africa, Botswana, South Africa included, we can learn from this, and I believe that the lesson moves beyond diplomacy. It should nudge us into asking ourselves very simple questions. I always say to my staff in the ministry that when we look at economic diplomacy and seek ways of ensuring that we lure foreign direct investment, we should be asking ourselves, how do we ensure that intra-Africa trade becomes a reality? How do we ensure that African countries trade amongst themselves? You look at a situation where Botswana, I know this one is a controversial one, but I know Lonamo Northwest Lidumalanalen, we have the best beef in the world, right? Yeah? Yes. So we have the best beef in the world. We export it to the EU market. Guess what? Our neighbors, Angola and DRC, they buy their beef from Brazil. Does that make sense? It doesn't. But it won't change unless we have people who are ready to follow on the footsteps of giants like Dr. Pahad. I keep reminding myself that today I'm a visitor, and I should talk like a diplomat. But do anyway, totara swantri di bue. Hore ha toropo e tshwana le Mahikeng, toropo e tshwana le Gaborone. O ta uta hote batho ba emeletse go Gaborone, ba ile ko toropong ko Moseja to go bata twinning arrangement. Mme ba sena twinning arrangement le Mahikeng. Mme anong gone mo go ke go ke ipotsa gore how ha re se ka kra tshwaragana rona gone ya re be re ka tshwaragana le ba ba mawate a khakala. Dr. Pahad wouldn't have understood that logic at all. Those who don't understand Setswana, I was simply saying that I like Mahikeng very much, and no controversy at all. On that point, let me say that in Botswana, we have long valued our relationship with South Africa. Dr. Pahad's work during his tenure was instrumental in fostering deeper ties between our nations. Some of you in this room don't know that the capital of Bechuanaland used to be Mahikeng. I'm just saying. That was just a reference to history and nothing else. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather today to honor Dr. Aziz Pahad, we must recognize that his work did not end with his departure from office in 2008. He remained a tireless mentor and advisor, offering his wisdom to the younger generation of diplomats and political leaders. I wish to end, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, with somewhat, I don't know whether it will be a controversial statement, but how kare litimelwa ke tsela rona ke re ba share tare gata mo dithakong tsa bo Dr. Pahad mme ha o ka re litimelwa ke tsela o ka re bona o ka re ga re bone sengwe sente polelo e ya re boele ko marakanelong a ditsela mme ha re boela ko re ta ithela bo Dr. Aziz Pahad ko re ta ithela mekwalo ya bone ko le ba ba tsileng pele ga bone mme re ta lemoga gore tsela e re tshwantseng go e tsaya sente ke ga ke dumele gore mahatshe a rona ntse jaana a ba pile batho ba rona ba sikana ka tsela e ntseng jaana re na le gone go ka akanya gore re ka tshela outside each other, independent of each other. Ebile re tshwanetse re bate ditsela tsa go dirisana. Molaetsa wa mo motona o go tetseng ke gore rona re dumela gore rona le lona re batho ba le bangwe he. Rona le lona re tshwanetse ra nna hatshe ra buisana ra dumalana gore ko pele re ya ha go ndile le diphoso teng re di baakanye re tswelle ko pele dikgang tsotlhe re di nnele ha disanyaneng la go itse go nnela dikgang ha disanyaneng mme ha re dira jalo ke gone jaaka re tabe re tutile mewa ya batho ba gaka ba ba tshwanang le bo Dr. Aziz Pahad. That is the message I bring to you. And let us learn, let us take this legacy forward. We are ready as the new government of Botswana to work with the government of South Africa and the people of South Africa. We encourage people-to-people diplomacy because to us, you are not another country or a different country. You are one of us. Go bata ke eme gona ha ke se ke senyo ke a lebo
re lebogile monga rona re lebogela puo entle thata e o re neetseng yona ke ne ke batla go utlwa Setswana tsa Botswana sentle mo thoko ga ka jeko ke se utlwile sentle ke tlhola ke se bona hela mo televisioneng go thaka-thakane ko parlamenteng ya Botswana go sugakakaniwa go buiwa mme maitlhomo magolo e le go fetola matshelo a batho ba Botswana. So we are Botswana, Botswana is us. We are one. Akere ba gaetso. We are one. Ha gona tsela ore border e petla re tlhoboganya le batho ba Botswana. Ntate Dr. Penyo Botale bangwe ba batho ba rona go tswa mo maikeng ba reka petrol ka fa lona ka fa ke ka mo ke reng we are one ga go kgakala thata yalo le rona re kgona go ya re tsena re tswa e be re tla gape mo maikeng ka jalo re bolelele mosimane wa rona wa go Botswana wa presidente gore re mo rata thata ke ena re leng a re ga se His Excellency Premier ke mo neela tlotla ya e batlang ya gore ene ke mosimane wa rona le mo bokone bophirima ntse e tlo nna mosimane wa rona re batla gore re go fe mohago o mmolelle gore batho ba Mahikeng batho ba Northwest bao ba eteletsweng pele ke ntate Aziz Mokgosi ba rata batho ba Botswana thata ebile re tlo ba etela mo nakong e sa fediseng pelo tla ke tsena ko ye Premier ke go biletse ka ko pele gore o tle o re neelane ka dimpho tse o nang le tsona go bao ba leng maleba mme ke kope fela gore o tle ka kwano bao ba tshwanetseng gore thusa ntate Kaweng pele re ka tswalela bagaetsho maikaelelo a rona se gore le tshwarelle sebaka kwano ntate Kaweng ga o ka tla ba tlo re thusa ka kwano ga ke emelisa Tonakgolo gore a tle a kgone go neelana ka dimpho tseo a nang le tsona go bo lesika la ga Pahad go professor go di buitse ditonna tsa rona te khumalo ke tla go tima ga o itshupa o rata go itshupa motho ga itshupi wa supiwa motho ntsi wa mo gara batho go te tswa ko morago nne mo pele kgabo ke a go kgalema tla ke kope mo Premier a dire se wa tshwanelang go se dira presente bulwang e dirilwe ke ntate Stilo o ka emella re go bona tlotlo kgona gore drawa ena Stilo ke o le ke artist wa rona ke ena dirileng selo se re mo acknowledge bagaetsho motho tlotliwa sentse tshela le ga dira ditiro tse dintle re tsentse re bua gore o dira ditiro tse dintle ane honorable speaker honorable chief whip honorable MECs ha le batla gore ba le drawe ke ra gore ke a mo marketela artist yaka a ke re nna ke MEC wa metshameko re bera ka ntse re tshameka aha I email mo professor ene ke ra email mo professor
Oh, package.
Parekh, then Prof Bismarck. And then
okay re a leboga o ntse o eme fela yalo mo Premier re a leboga thank you very much Prof re a leboga ke kopa ke biletse ko pele Prof Bismarck Tobeka re batho ba di present honorable Mosenogi re a leboga mo Premier re a leboga re biletse ko pele Dr. Butale moeng wa rona wa go tswa ko Botswana dokotela re go fa dilo tsa mo bokone bophirima ke biletse ko pele bo majoro ba rona majoro Mphetlo le majoro Khumalo Ke biletse ko pele Honorable Speaker of the Legislature, Dr. Mohono, hankomanye. Re a leboga bo majoro ke tla bua gore dibuka tseo ka mogare ga dipheka tsa lona ke dibuka tse leng gore ke tsa ko lefapheng re kopa gore le di buise le ikamanya le tsone ba gaetsho. Dr. Mohono, re biletse ko pele Chief Whip of the Legislature, ke biletse ko pele Chief Whip. Re lebogela maoto a lona a mantle. Re biletse ko pele Prof Swanepoel. Yes, of course. Okay. Ke biletse ko pele Pastor Tlhabanyane. Ke biletse ko pele Pastor Tlhabanyane. Ke biletse ko pele Professor Moyo. Mo premier ne ke kopa o bule ya gage o ba bontshe dibuka tse ya prof o e di busetsa ke tse di tswang ko lefapheng. Dibuka tse ke tse di kwalwang ke bakwadi ba rona ba Northwest ba gaetsho. Dibuka tse ke tse di kwadiwang ke bakwadi ba province ya Bokone Bophirima tse di ka mogare. Wa le batima matsa gore go re hala ke re ya package. Re tla le direla one day. One day. One day. Re a leboga Honorable Premier ke kopa go fa now my program director a tswelle ka program.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Pahad believed that there can be no peace without development, and there can never be development without peace. Now, individually and collectively, shall we please work towards a better Bokone Bophirima, a better South Africa, a better Africa, and a better world. I call upon the Executive Mayor of the Mahikeng Local Municipality, Councillor Mpetlo, to close and release us. Major.
Okay, no, thank you. Program directors, I'm most honored to thank all the congregants for your attendance. Firstly, I must also recognize the presence of the Premier, Comrade Lazarus KG Mokgosi, members of the Executive Committee, Honorable Minister of International Relations from Botswana, Dr. Penyo Butale, the wife and partner of Comrade Aziz Pahad, the Speaker of the Northwest Provincial Legislature, as well as the Chief Whip, including all the members of the Provincial Legislature, the Executive Mayor of the District Municipality, and Tate Khumalo Molefe, and other councillors that are present here today, the Vice Chancellor and the Principal of the Northwest University, Prof. Bismarck Jobeka, and the entire management and also Council of the Northwest University, the leadership of the African National Congress present here today, and the broad liberation movement, student leadership, professionals, academia, and members of the public. Bommele bo ntate, dumelang. Now, there's a special or uniqueness about Mahikeng, Your Excellency, from Botswana. Now, when you speak about Mahikeng, you're speaking about a city that was once a capital city of Botswana, or the then Bechuanaland. Then Mahikeng went to be the capital city of the then Bantustan of Bophuthatswana. Now I'm sitting here as the head of the capital city of the Northwest Province. Never in the world as a capital city or a town has been a head of administration like Mahikeng. Now, Your Excellency. In the past, I don't know about the domestic politics of Botswana. Now, we once had relations with other municipalities of Botswana, but there's a new administration. It means that we have to go back to Botswana again to re-establish those relations with the 3 municipalities that we were working closely with them. But I wish to start by thanking each and every one of you, you here, colleagues, for the engagements that we've been having. I'm certain that each and every one of us gathered here today are enriched with new knowledge following the deliberations we had. For my part, I want to say that I've drawn lessons from the anecdotes told here about the life and times of Comrade Pahad. I want to say that I'm encouraged to know that he was born in the humble backgrounds of our province in Swaziland and went to become an avid anti-apartheid struggle stalwart who later became a respected statesman, serving as a Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs for about 14 years. Comrade Premier, in the foreword, the insurgent diplomat by President Thabo Mbeki, he said, Comrade Aziz Pahad, he has known Comrade Aziz Pahad for more than 5 decades. He describes the liberation movement as a normative lodestar and center of gravity that brought them together for all these years. He further went to provide succinct summary of the activities that pervaded his life from Sussex to the Harare Declaration, to the secret talks, to the talks and his involvement in democratic government. The picture that he painted is one of a human being that has given all his life for the liberation of his people from oppression. We as activists are called into activism by prevailing circumstances we find ourselves in. We are called into struggle by unflinching love we have for our people. The ideals of freedom and liberation from oppression are the normative lodestar and center of gravity that keeps the fires burning. The spark that lit activism still burns the fires that drives us today. We too want to do good that they devoted all their lives to doing. Today we've learned something from the life of Comrade Pahad. I'll be short, Program Director. I don't like your eyes. Today we are navigating a world of complex and fragile geopolitical tension. There are so many active conflicts than there ever has been since World War II. People are actively fighting in the Middle East over the Israeli-Palestine conflict. There's war in Russia, Ukraine, the Eastern DRC, and the northern Mozambique. Syria has just concluded a costly war that was fought for more than a decade. And now more than ever, the world peace and security are at risk. Now, Comrade Premier, the White House has a new boss. Never has America presented the world with so much foreign policy uncertainty as it has under the leadership of Donald Trump. Multilateralism is nothing compared to what it used to be when the Bretton Woods institutions were created. Through the BRICS and other multilateral institutions, countries of the South have egged the powers that be. Discussion about challenging the dollar dominance are no longer held in secret. Neocolonialism and imperialism, the crisis of widening disparity between wealthy and the poor facing the global capital system are the problems we have to deal with today. We take leave from the book of Comrade Pahad to draw lessons about dealing with these problems. Comrade Pahad really indeed paved the way for us. With these few words, Program Director, I wish to close by thanking all the guests. Your attentive listening and participations are noted. You're a beautiful audience and you still remain beautiful audiences. To my fellow colleagues, I once more say, let us take leave from what was said tonight. Dedication, service, commitment, and sacrifice are required from each and every one of us here and beyond to prosecute the people's revolution. I'm mostly grateful, Comrade Premier of the province, for affording my city, your city and our city, the opportunity to host this prestigious event. We have been working so hard to uplift the face of Mahikeng for investment and growth, and will continue to do so. I know that this event will shine light on the work that we have been doing. As we go back to our respective homes, let us drive safe on our potholes, but definitely we are working on them. And I said it. Let me reiterate it again. Drive safe on our potholes. And the last part of my sentence is that we are working on our potholes. The 5th administration of Mahikeng local municipality will not go out without wiping all the potholes off. To the students, please study well and know that the future of South Africa and Africa is in your hands. I'm also program director in conclusion, reminded by the words of Ntate Moses Kotane, who said, at hour of destiny, your country and your people need you. The future of South Africa is in your hands, and it will be what you make of it. And to us as leadership of our government and institutions, let us lead the people of God well, with dedication, love, and service-driven. Program Director, Kamanzo Makalo ke lebogile go menagane, a pula ena.
Okay, we have come to the end of our program. I am going to ask that the dignitaries, please, we go back to where we came from, the A block. And those of the media houses who want to ask the Premier and the leadership about the upcoming programs leading to SOPA and so on, you are welcome to join. We'll show you some, is it here now? Oh, you see now, the world moves so fast. Okay, the media, you remain here, but now, okay, remain here, we are closing. So thank you very much, everyone. As we conclude, Rere Morena Buluka, Sechava Saesu, Ufedise Dinto Alematswenye. We thank you. Have a safe trip.
Thank you.